You know how for the longest time we were all obsessed with FANG? Everyone was talking about Facebook and Google and Apple. It was the standard. But honestly, things are moving so fast right now that the old guard might be taking a back seat. There is this new buzzword going around tech circles. They are calling it mangoes. It sounds like something you'd pick up at the grocery store, right? But it actually stands for the biggest players hitting the public markets. We are talking about Meta or Microsoft, Anthropic, Nvidia, Google, OpenAI, and SpaceX. It is pretty wild to think about how much the landscape has shifted. If you listen to the folks over at TechCrunch like Kirsten Korosek, Anthony Ha, and Sean O'Kane, you get this sense that we are headed for a major reality check. Half of these mangoes companies are supposedly planning to hit the public markets around the same time. That is going to be a huge stress test for investors. Imagine trying to value all of those massive AI-driven companies at once. It makes me a little nervous, to be honest. Are we ready for that kind of shift in the market? It feels like we are at a turning point in 2026. Speaking of things that sound like science fiction, have you heard about what Jeff Bezos is doing with Prometheus? They just raised $12 billion. $12 billion. And for what? To build what they call an artificial general engineer for the physical world. I don't know about you, but that sounds like something straight out of a movie. It is not just about writing code or chatbots anymore. They want these things to actually interact with our physical environment. It is exciting, but yeah, it also makes me wonder where the boundaries are. The tech world can be kind of messy sometimes, too. It is not all big funding rounds and fancy acronyms. I read that Microsoft's open source tools were actually hacked recently. People were using them to steal passwords from AI developers. Can you imagine? You are working on the future of technology and someone just walks off with your credentials. That is just frustrating, really. It shows that even the biggest players are struggling to keep things locked down while they race toward the next big thing. And then there is the drama with Anthropic. Their Claude Fable 5, which is this version of Mythos they have out for the public, is dealing with some heat. Researchers are really unhappy about the guardrails they have in place. They feel like the security isn't where it needs to be. It is a bit sad because you want to be excited about these tools, but you keep hearing about these safety concerns. It's interesting looking at the team behind the scenes at TechCrunch, too. They have people like Teresa Loconsolo who keeps things moving as an audio producer. She has been there since 2022. It is funny to think she used to work at this 4-station conglomerate where she only had 2 producers to work with. Now she is part of this massive conversation about the future of tech. It just goes to show how much work goes into reporting on these complex stories. So, where do we go from here? Industry analysts seem to think 2026 is the year we find out what these companies are really worth. If half of that Mangoes group actually hits the IPO market in the same window, it could be a total roller coaster for investors. We might see valuations soar, or we might see a really tough correction if the hype doesn't match the reality. It's hard to say for sure. Markets are unpredictable, but you have to keep an eye on these big debuts. Google is already fighting hard, too. They are deep in this battle over subscription pricing for their AI services. Everyone is trying to figure out how to monetize this stuff. It's not just about building the smartest model anymore. It's about who can actually make money off of it. That competition is only going to get fiercer as we get closer to 2026. I think it is safe to say that the era of FANG is fading into the background. The rise of Mangoes represents a move toward a more AI-centric economy. It is heavy on the compute power, heavy on the research, and clearly heavy on the capital. If you are watching the markets, you really have to pay attention to these guys. Will they change how we live and work? Maybe. They certainly have the money to try. It is also worth thinking about the risks. With so many of these companies going public at once, the market might just get flooded. Investors could get picky. And honestly, they should be. When you see security breaches like what happened with Microsoft, or hear researchers voicing concerns about guardrails on AI like Anthropic's, it makes you pause. You have to wonder if these companies are moving faster than their security can handle. Still, you can't help but be curious. Will Prometheus actually build a functioning artificial general engineer? That would be a game changer for manufacturing and infrastructure. If they pull it off, it might make that $12 billion look like a bargain. But that is a big if. The engineering challenge alone is massive. Anyway, it feels like we are living through a really strange and fast-paced period of tech history. Every time I turn around, there is a new acronym or a new record-breaking funding round. It is a lot to keep track of. If you are interested in where this is all heading, keep a close watch on those 2026 timelines. That is when the rubber is going to hit the road. What do you think? Are you buying into the AI hype with these new companies, or are you a bit skeptical about the valuations? It is definitely something to keep an eye on as we move forward. There is just so much happening behind the scenes, and honestly, I think we have only seen the tip of the iceberg. If you want to keep up with how all this unfolds, definitely stick around. I am going to be watching these Mangoes companies very closely. If you enjoyed hearing about what is actually going on behind these headlines, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. Also, let me know in the comments, are you more excited about the potential of these AI tools, or are the security risks like the ones at Microsoft and Anthropic scaring you off? I would love to hear what your take is. Thanks for hanging out with me today and talking tech. I will see you in the next one.